Today we'll be simplifying cube roots. We'll be taking perfect cubes out from under the radical. And when we are working with the variables, we'll be taking groups of 3 out. So since it's the cube root, we have this little 3 here. It's called the index. It tells us what power we're working with. So the cube root of 40 can be simplified. So I'm going to look at factors of 40 that are perfect cubes. And 8 is a perfect cube. So the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 5 is the cube root of 40. The cube root of 8 is 2, so 2 cube roots of 5. Next example, we have the cube root of negative 250. So let's look at perfect cubes that are factors of 250. 125 is, so the cube root of negative 125 times the cube root of 2. The cube root of a negative 125 is negative 5. So negative 5 cube roots of 2. So when we're working with cube roots, we can have a negative under the radical, and we always want to factor that out. So our simplified form with a cube root will always have a positive radicand. Now let's work with variables. We have the cube root of x to the 6. So we're going to be pulling out groups of 3 instead of groups of 2, like when we were working with a square root. So we're going to take the exponent, 6, and we're going to divide 3 into it. So 3 goes into 6 2 times. So we're going to pull out 2 groups of 3. So the cube root of x to the 6 is just x squared. Here we have the cube root of x to the 11. So we're going to take the exponent of 11 and divide 3 into it. Well, 3 goes into it 3 times with 2 left over. So that means I'm going to have x to the 3rd on the outside and x squared on the inside. And one way I check that I've done this properly is I multiply these two on the outside together. 3 times 3 is 9, and I add that 11, and that should give me my exponent. All right, so let's try it all together. Now we have 2 times the cube root of negative 375a to the 11th. So we have a coefficient of 2 to begin with, so we're just going to leave that to the side for now. We're going to now factor negative 375, looking for perfect cubes. So I'm going to pull out negative 125 and times 3. And then I have my a to the 11th. So my 2 comes down, and the cube root of negative 125 is negative 3. And the cube root of 3 is the cube root of 3. And then a to the 11th, again, I take the exponent, I divide 3 into it, 3 times 3 with 2 left over. So I have a to the 3rd on the outside and a to the 2nd on the inside. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11. So my final answer is on the outside I have a negative 6 a to the 3rd cube root of 3a squared. I don't think that's